Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? Please have your tickets in hand before you board the plane. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. I'm Johan Castell and you're watching Wings. On today's show, we cover how the war in West Asia is hampering tourism and travel, and how the world's largest travel trade fair in Berlin was affected. Also on the show, the cherry blossom season around the world. And the bhajan clubbing trend emerging among India's youth. Let's get started. Our lead story this week is a report on how travel and tourism have been affected by the US-Israeli war against Iran. We cover the impact and what lies ahead for the world's largest transit hubs in West Asia. Thousands of travelers stranded by the escalating war in West Asia may face a lengthy wait before returning home, aviation and tourism experts warn. Since US and Israeli strikes on Iran and retaliatory attacks across the region began, commercial flights have been suspended or heavily restricted, leaving tourists, business travelers, migrant workers and pilgrims stuck in hotels, airports and cruise ships.
A conflict in the Middle East is critical in terms of the impact that it has on global travel and global trade. Effectively, within the Middle East, an 8-hour flying distance covers 2/3 of the world population. So it is a strategic corridor in terms of being able to move west to east. 20 to 30% of the world's travel and trade goes through that corridor. So when that corridor is blocked, it forces aviation to either move far north, which is going into potentially other conflict airspace, such as Russia, such as Pakistan, or fly south. That puts huge pressure on the airlines because they require additional time, additional fuel, and they lose the full capacity that they might have because of the extra weight on the aircraft. So by blocking that airspace, you ultimately block global connectivity of people, of trade, of economic engagement, and of global stability. So it's a strategically very important point in the world for when things are going well, and very, very sensitive when things are going wrong.
Long lines of passengers were seen at Muscat International Airport as they transited from Gulf states to their home countries amid airspace disruptions. Authorities have been arranging charter flights and securing seats on limited commercial services to evacuate tens of thousands of people. On March 6, a flight carrying 147 people evacuated from West Asia by the Portuguese government landed in Lisbon. Another flight operated by the Air Forces landed the same day with 39 passengers, of which 24 were Portuguese and 15 from other countries.
Acho que há 36 horas que estamos em viagem.
I'd say we're overwhelmed. The trip was completely exhausting. I think we've been traveling for 36 hours. The ground transport from the hotel to Oman was really difficult, and then there was a wait at the airport of about
17 hours. But after we got on the plane, everything was fine.
Estamos muito cansadas.
We're very tired, very overwhelmed, but we're very grateful to be back.
Estar de volta.
Over 100 stranded Polish tourists were repatriated from Oman, landed in Warsaw in the early hours of the 6th of March. Passengers who managed to return on a commercial flight via Dubai described a tense atmosphere in the region.
There were 2 flights from our terminal today, one to Warsaw and I think one to Milan. Such an empty airport really makes an impression. All the tables free, every restaurant empty, only a few passengers on the escalators.
A Japanese government charter plane landed at Tokyo's Narita Airport on March 8th after departing Muscat in Oman with 107 Japanese citizens, stranded by the war in Iran on board.
Missile debris fell onto the hotel I was staying in. I wasn't able to come back here on schedule. The airline kept changing the timings and cancelling. Thanks to the people in the UAE that we were able to return safely.
Reportedly, between February 28th, when the conflict with Iran began, and March 12th, more than 43,000 flights to and from West Asia were cancelled. Also, the first repatriation flight carrying Belgian nationals landed at Brussels airport early on March 8th. Belgium's foreign ministry said 234 passengers were on board.
From Dubai, we took a bus to Oman. Then in Oman, we stayed in a hotel, and after that, we took the bus to the airport in Oman. Then we left to come here. But we had a stopover, a technical stop in Egypt to refuel the plane, and then we left again. Just a slightly longer flight than usual, but everything is fine.
We're here. That's what matters today. You have to look at the positive side. That's it.
And seeing your loved ones again?
Yes, my loved ones are here. They were waiting for you. Yes, 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 exactly.
And then emerged a tale of an improvised journey by road and air to reach home. Varun Krishnan, an Indian technology entrepreneur, abandoned plans to wait for flights to resume in Doha and instead drove to Saudi Arabia before catching onward flights back to India. Navigating through multiple checkpoints, he, along with many others, crossed the Al Salwa border between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and drove through the desert highway to reach Riyadh.
When we are at the border crossing, getting our immigration and the visa done, the phones in the place immigration control were blaring with alarms about attacks over Doha. And we also heard some explosions far away. And it was a little uncomfortable situation at that point of time because we are about to leave and still there is some escalation in terms of the violence.
So how long will it take for travel to resume around West Asia? Aviation and tourism expert Anita Mendiratta said it could take weeks for global travel to return to normal once flight corridors reopen.
What is going to happen next is basically this. Aircraft and crews are fundamentally out of place. They are out of position. They need to get back in position. So as the airports slowly and carefully reopen, it will be about the airlines focusing on repositioning to be able to reactivate flights. The activation of flights is going to take place first and foremost, one would anticipate, for repatriation. And those are going to be diplomatic missions. So those are not scheduled flights. Those are diplomatic missions between two countries that are enabling safe passage of nationals. On top of that will then be travelers that were in transit. And then finally will be the travelers who are in place and simply need to get back home. So there's an order to this, but it's all about doing it safely with continuous safe corridors in terms of the air routes that are available through the airspace and ongoing monitoring. This is definitely going to take time, and we can anticipate probably 10 days to 2 weeks.
The global tourism industry has just concluded its largest annual gathering in Berlin. ITB marked its 60th anniversary this year, bringing together thousands of exhibitors and tourism leaders from across the globe. But while the event highlighted innovation and new travel opportunities, rising tensions in the Middle East also cast a shadow over the discussions. The German capital recently hosted ITB Berlin, the world's leading travel trade show, marking its 60th anniversary. The event brought together nearly 6,000 exhibitors from more than 160 countries, reaffirming its role as one of the most important meeting points for the global tourism industry. From tourism boards and airlines to hotels and travel companies, industry leaders gathered to discuss emerging travel trends, explore partnerships, and map out the future of global tourism. The event has grown dramatically since its launch in 1966, when just 9 exhibitors from 5 countries first took part. Today, ITB Berlin has evolved into a global platform for tourism markets, innovation, and international dialogue, with similar travel events now held across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. But this year's gathering unfolded against the backdrop of rising tensions in the Middle East. The ongoing Iran war cast a shadow over the event. with travel disruptions and closed airspace preventing several delegations from reaching Berlin. Several pavilions representing Middle Eastern destinations appeared quieter than usual. Representatives from countries including Qatar, Dubai, and Israel were unable to attend, while some visitors appeared cautious about engaging with destinations now linked to regional instability. Travel companies say their immediate focus has shifted from promoting future holidays to dealing with the fallout of the conflict, particularly helping thousands of stranded travelers return home. The long-term impact of the conflict on global tourism remains uncertain. Tourism officials say the conflict is affecting travel across the region, particularly major aviation hubs such as Dubai and Doha.
Of course, we are affected by the travel advice, and this war is a regional war. But Jordan is not in the center of this war, and Jordan always has been neutral and resilient in recovery of regional crisis. And we had vibes of tour operators, of the private sector saying that Jordan is on top of their wish list. But unfortunately, these events, of course, will affect. But we are optimistic that once the skies are clear, that tourists will come back again to Jordan. Yes, this crisis has impact beyond Jordan because it affects travel and it affects hubs like Dubai and Doha, which are global travel hubs between East and West. However, if this weathers away and it's not prolonged, the recovery of tourism will be fast.
Even so, tourism leaders say the sector has proven resilient in the past, and they remain hopeful it will rebound once the situation stabilizes. India's destination wedding industry is entering a structurally strong growth phase. This is driven by rising wedding volumes, expanding hospitality supply, and deeper tourism demand. Let's look at a special report on how the wedding tourism industry is evolving in India by WION's Kanishka Sarkar reporting from Sate.
India's peak wedding season is booming. The sector alone now accounts for significant activity with around 35 lakh weddings planned across the country during November and the January period each year. This is projected to cost $15.2 billion during that period. It underscores the enormous short-term market potential.
Planning a big fat Indian wedding? Well, did you know that 26% of all weddings in India are now destination weddings? From royal Rajasthan palaces to sunset beaches at Goa to serene waters that is the backwaters of Kerala, couples are now choosing culture, luxury and local experience. The Indian wedding tourism industry, it's already worth $3.5 billion, and by 2033, it's set to explode to $25 billion. So tell me, if you were to plan a wedding today, where would you say I do? Let's make the choices easier for you, and let's find out from the states themselves.
The Indian government's Wed in India call has transformed domestic tourism. Families who once looked at Italy or Turkey are now finding their dream altar within the borders of Rajasthan's deserts or Goa's pristine coastlines. As we move through 2026, the Indian wedding industry is projected to balloon to a staggering 6.5 lakh crore rupees or around $70.6 billion. But it's no longer just about scale, it's about the setting. In the heart of the desert, royalty is the primary export. Rajasthan remains the undisputed crown jewel of wedding tourism. Here, a 3-day luxury celebration can easily cross 1.5 crore or about $160,000, turning ancient forts into modern economic hubs.
So, Wed in India ke baad mein, we find that many people are coming to the Rajasthan to have their dream wedding over there. We have the many peoples like Ambani's, Adani's. They have done Priyanka Chopra and her sister, and now Rasmika Mandana. She is also coming to the Rajasthan for her marriage. And your royalty marriage, if you want to do, then you should come to the Rajasthan and do there. For the locals, it is very good opportunity for them. They earn out of it. Yes, it is all expenditure done in the particular area. No doubt many services are brought from the outside. For so many weddings, we found that the caterer is also called from the Kolkata. The flowerist called from the Bangalore. So not only Rajasthan getting the money out of weddings, but many other parts is also getting that.
It's not just the hotels that benefit. From the local Mehndi artists to traditional Manganiyar singers, the wedding season now sustains over 1 crore seasonal jobs nationwide. While Rajasthan offers grandeur, Goa is capturing the experience. The trend in 2026 has shifted toward intimate, sustainable and tech-driven weddings. Think AI-powered guest management and zero plastic beach ceremonies. With new hotel rooms added to the national inventory this year, the competition to host the perfect sunset has become more intense. Goa is no longer just a party destination, it is a professional wedding powerhouse.
And it is a dream of every couple to come to Goa and have a wedding in Goan beaches, Goan hinterland places. And they like this. Goa is a lifetime experience for them. Many weddings, they contact our hotels in Goa and destination wedding companies in Goa, and they schedule their weddings to Goa, and many 5-star hotels in Goa who cater these facilities for the couples. It increases revenue of Goa also in terms of different facilities requirement in Goa, and there are room requirement, there are musical requirement, and so many other aspects of weddings. So indirectly, Goan economy is getting boosted through this wedding concept.
For destination weddings, nearly 70% of the procurement for fabric of the bridal garments to artisanal catering is now locally sourced. Vocal for local is the silent guest at every Indian wedding this year. As the industry eyes a target of 15 lakh crore rupees or around $162 billion by 2028, the message is clear. Indian wedding is no longer just a family affair. It is a global tourism product.
Clubbing is getting a spiritual remix. Across Indian cities, young people are swapping late-night bars for something unexpected: devotional music on a dance floor. A new trend is emerging that blends faith with festival vibes. Our next story examines the emergence of bhajan clubbing.
The music is loud, the lights are bright, and the crowd cheers in rhythm. But this isn't your typical nightclub. The soundtrack is devotional. Across Indian cities, a new cultural trend is drawing young crowds: bhajan clubbing. It's an unusual blend, part spiritual gathering, part music concert, part social experience. Inside these venues, the atmosphere feels familiar to anyone who has been to a concert or club. But instead of chart-topping hits, the music is rooted in devotional poetry, sacred chants, and centuries-old spiritual compositions. Some people dance freely, others sit cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, clapping along to the rhythm. The format is simple, a shared musical experience where everyone sings, chants or moves together. Organizers emphasize that the appeal lies in the sense of collective energy, something many young people feel is missing in the digital age.
It is giving them a medium to explore, a different activity to do apart from going to the regular clubs where they have to consume alcohol, go out with friends. So even for our concerts, we are looking at people joining in clusters, sharing stories and asking people that if they want to join in.
Classic devotional songs and chants are now layered with contemporary sounds, live instruments and energetic arrangements. The sacred lyrics remain the same, but the soundscape feels fresh and accessible to younger listeners. For many young attendees,
it has also reshaped how they see spirituality. For participants, the attraction is simple: to reconnect with something deeper. And when hundreds of voices chant the same words together, the experience can feel both festive and meditative at the same time.
Spring is slowly arriving across the northern hemisphere, and with it comes one of the most beautiful natural spectacles of the year. Cherry blossom season has begun, unfolding across parts of Asia and beyond, turning parks, streets and hillsides into breathtaking shades of pink and white. Our next story takes you across the global cherry blossom trail. Across the globe, spring is arriving in shades of pink. Cherry blossom season, one of nature's celebrated spectacles, is beginning to unfold. For just a few weeks every year, parks, temples and city streets transform into stunning floral landscapes as delicate blossoms burst into bloom. In Japan, the arrival of spring has long been tied to the blooming of cherry blossoms. While cherry blossoms often take center stage, plum blossoms are among the earliest signs that winter is coming to an end. Japanese residents recently visited Yushima Tenmangu Shrine in eastern Tokyo to admire the plum blossoms in bloom. These flowers are cherished for their subtle fragrance, delicate petals, and deep cultural significance. Japan's famous cherry blossom season is also expected to arrive slightly earlier than usual this year. According to forecasts from the Japan Meteorological Corporation, blooms in several cities could begin up to a week earlier than historical averages. But Japan is not the only place welcoming spring with cherry blossoms. Across Asia, cities are already celebrating the season. Early spring has brought a spectacular bloom at the city's largest cherry blossom forest. The 2026 Shanghai Cherry Blossom Festival is taking place at Guchun Park from March 9 to April 9. Visitors can enjoy both daytime and nighttime viewing experiences, with illuminated blossoms creating a magical evening atmosphere.
This year's early blossoms arrived about a week earlier than usual. We expect the peak blooming period to fall between late March and the Qingming Festival on April 5th. We've also replanted popular varieties like Kawazu Zakura and Somei Yoshino to enrich the landscape.
Taiwan's cherry blossom season spans from late January to mid-April. Because of the island's diverse landscape, the blooms appear in waves, beginning in lower regions and gradually moving to higher altitudes as temperatures rise.
This is my third time visiting the Cherry Blossom Park, and I have always had a very good impression of it. The scenery was beautiful, and the food was delicious this year as well. I will continue to invite my friends or colleagues to visit the Cherry Blossom Park again in the future.
So far this year, hundreds of cherry trees have already burst into bloom, attracting tourists eager to experience the early signs of spring. Cherry blossoms are often associated with Japan or East Asia, but one fantastic destination for this is also Canada. In British Columbia, cities like Victoria and Vancouver quietly transform into a sea of blossoms. The Vancouver Cherry Blossom Festival this year runs from March 26 to April 17, featuring cultural events, outdoor picnics and blossom viewing throughout the city. Across the region, hundreds of thousands of cherry blossoms line the streets and parks, offering visitors a spectacular yet far less crowded alternative to traditional cherry blossom hotspots. Between 250,000 and 750,000 cherry blossoms bloom across the city's streets and parks, offering visitors a stunning yet far less crowded alternative to traditional cherry blossom hotspots. That's all we have for you this week, but we return with more next weekend. Until then, it's me, Johan Castell, signing off. Goodbye.